What's up, my 1111 YouTube friends? Oh, the sweet sounds of an RXL. Oh, they have an awesome sound. Well, let me grab my cold one here. Cheers. Well, this old girl, saving it, is heading to a new home. Trenton's went to a new home yesterday. The buyer from Michigan showed up yesterday he picked up 2 RXLs on the way, and then came here and picked up Trenton's RXL, the 93, unsure. So yeah, we end up selling these 2 RXLs. Yep, this one's heading to North Dakota. Trenton's headed to Michigan. The guy that showed up yesterday, I think he has a sickness worse than ours because he couldn't even give me a number of RXLs that he had. He wasn't honestly exactly sure on the number, but he said it was a lot. So he has a lot of sleds. And he just solely was collecting RXLs. He has every single year, and now he's trying to collect every model for every year. Some of them came with different options and stuff, so now he's trying to collect everything in the RXLs. But the 91, heading to North Dakota. Somewhat sad to see it leave. It's a nice, clean Survivor, but when you have too many, you have too many, and sometimes you just got to sell. And that's what me and Trenton have done lately, is we had to sell. So, to make room for new builds, and just to make room in general, because we have learned that having as many as we have, we almost have to have a part-time mechanic just to keep them all running all the time. So, turbo sled is looking absolutely amazing right now. We set the hood on it, we put the belly pan on. At the point of plumbing the turbo and the fuel system and stuff. So we had to set some things on here to kind of get a feel of how things are going to fit. So I'm going to throw this question out. Trenton is really pondering whether if this sled needs decals or not. I have a 92 pumpkin decal kit for it. He put all this together and he's like, I don't think we should put decals on it. I'm like, yeah, we're building a 92 pumpkin though. I got to have decals on it. So that's the question for the comment area. Comment what your opinion is. Decals, no decals. We do take suggestions. You guys comment all the time on what you feel. And I have gone one way or the other according to the comments on what you guys think. So Trenton got his new pull handle on. He's got it displayed here proudly. And yeah, he's got 3 fingers in here trying to do a little cleanup work on it. He ran out his rear shocks today to Eric the Shock Guy to get the shocks rebuilt in the rear. And we're going to be doing all new rod ends on the front. His rod ends, he never did it when he built the sled. And they are about as junk can be. I'm very hopeful that we actually get these rod ends out of these aluminum tubes too, because that always seems to be a struggle and a half just to get them out. But yeah, we're going to put all new rod ends in. He's doing some cleanup on it. He wrote it in here. He fired it up in the shed. He wrote it down here. It needs some maintenance, and she's ready to rip up some more snow. So here's the skid and everything. He went through his bearings too, put all new bearings in. That was something he didn't do either when he built it. He checked them all, and all the bearings were rolling nice, so he just put them in, to save a dime where you can. But now it's time to go back through and do some things he didn't do the first time. So, but yeah, plugging away on that. And we're going to lift the hood off here. And I'm going to talk about the fuel system. I'm going to talk about how I'm going to mount the turbo. And yeah, I'm going to kind of explain how the fuel system, I got it sitting on the bench. In every video I'm doing from here on out, I'm going to explain more and more on how all this stuff works. And so if you're ever looking to build one, you can refer back to the videos. And hopefully I put enough explain the fuel system well enough so you kind of understand exactly what's going on. It's taken me kind of a while to grasp exactly how everything has to work to make everything work. I think I have a pretty good knowledge on how it works right now. Pretty good knowledge. Here's the new dash plate. Here's another thing I should talk about, the tack. So we originally were going to build this with large white face gauges. A couple of you comment and a couple of you ask questions, both on YouTube and on Facebook, and I kind of tiptoed around the question because I didn't have an answer at the time. The white face large gauges run off a 6 pulse. XCR 800s run off a 6 pulse. 650s run off a 3 pulse. I bought them with hopes that somehow I was going to get one of these ignition manufacturers like MSD or Mallory or somebody to come up with some kind of a tack converter for me to go from 3 pulse to 6 pulse so it'd work. I had hopeful thoughts that was going to happen. So that's why I never really answered or even acknowledged the question about it, because I was still in the works of emails and phone calls and begging for them to make a one-off, some kind of a converter. I'm like, this is so important to me to have these gauges on the sled. Can we somehow come up with a way to make it work? Didn't work. So we're back to the original smaller gauges. Shane Jackson, once again, stepped up, sent me some new dash plates. Can't thank him enough. Shane is a great guy. WedgeLife98.com for your dash plates and for your vintage Polaris wear and stuff. So yeah, Shane again stepped up, sent me the plate. I let him know what was going on, and he just sent me the face for the gauges there. So thanks again, Shane. Let's pull this hood off and let's talk about what's going on underneath the hood. Okie dokie, what is going on underneath the hood? I did get the airbox built. We were at Nutter's last Saturday, machining the pieces for it and the carburetors. I couldn't be happier with how it came together. I really couldn't. And so if there's any engineers out there that want to chime in the comments section, we had a safety meeting here on Friday night with Nutter, Wes, Greg, Water Pump Tim, Turbo Tommy, me, Trenton. Did I forget anybody, Trenton?
No.
Okay. Well, we had a safety meeting, and we talked about this airbox. And there's a great debate on whether or not this airbox is actually going to work correctly. And the snag here on this airbox is the steering post. This was not like this on the XLT. The steering post needs to run through the airbox here. And now that I have the ends on, you can't see what's all going on in there. But the steering post kind of loops up into the airbox, but it's still open in there, but there's a little bit of a roadblock going on because of the steering post there. We're all undecided whether or not if this airbox is going to charge equally, or is the center carb going to get favored and throw all the boost into the center carb. Even though I put a baffle in the top up here, maybe Trenton can slide this tube off while I explain some things here, but there's concern that the center carb is going to get favored by the boost, and it's going to push it all down the center carb. But I did put this baffle down in there that's full of holes to kind of, I don't know, split the pressure, split the charge up, get it tumbling into the airbox. I don't know. That's how it was in the other box. So I made another one to put inside this box too. But like I said, there's that steering post that's running kind of kitty corner across it right here. My theory is if you're putting 8 pounds of pressure into something, it's 8 pounds of pressure, whether if it's in this corner over here, if it's in that corner, if it's up here. Maybe my theory's wrong. Maybe it's all going to go down in here and the vacuum of that center carb is going to suck all that boost in and only the center cylinder is going to get boost. I don't know. Everybody had an opinion. Everybody had a thought. I appreciated all the opinions and all the thoughts. I went with what I already had going on. There was talks of maybe a deflector, maybe do this, maybe do that, maybe start all over with 3 individual tubes. I didn't like the idea of starting over. I already had a lot of work into this one. So I'm going with this. I don't know what else to do. I don't. So if there's anybody that has really good thoughts on what we got going on here and can say, yep, there's no way that one end carb's ever going to get any boost, maybe then I'll start over. It's going to suck. I really don't want to at this point. I got a lot of hours into that airbox already. I love how it goes in and out. It fits awesome. Very easy to take in and out. You leave the boots on the airbox and just take them off at the carb and everything just slides right out of here. I have to make mounts for it yet. I started drilling and tapping all my holes for the fittings, for to pressurize the top of the slides and for the vents, for the bowl vents and stuff. I started all that. We actually set the turbo into here to get an idea of where the turbo needs to sit so that the rope can clear and so the charge tube can reach. and I have to make a flange right here. And ironically, on the 650 here, all this is a little different. There's like 8.5 inches of difference here that the turbo sits closer to this, which I think is better to have your turbo sitting closer to the source of what's driving the turbo versus the turbo sitting way downstream. So that's going to mount right here. Quick, easy little bracket, a slide onto here, and that's done. I took the turbo muffler off because the one thing I have read a lot on these is blowing the turbo down into the snow isn't the best thing. It can create back pressure and actually damage the engine because of it. So my mountain sled I built years ago, I built a 2-stroke mountain sled turbo, and they ran them out the side. Other guys dumped them into the tunnel. Yeah, they're loud out the side, and it kind of sucks. I think the possibilities of dumping this one in the tunnel isn't happening. There's not enough room up here to dump it in the tunnel like there was on some of the mountain sleds. The way it was set up, you could dump it into the front of the tunnel. So this one, we're going to go out the side, but I have a muffler. I'm going to take that muffler, and I am going to do a fitting off the bottom of the turbo into the muffler, and it's going to come out the side of the belly pan with a plate and blah, blah, blah. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to sound beautiful. And in the end, I think that's the best way to do it. Sucks that I'm cutting a hole through a NOS belly pan to do this, but I don't have any other choice, and that's just the way I think it has to be. So that's the way we're going to run it. So where we're at, that part's done. Turbo sitting in there. We got that to fit good. Big milestone today. So on the fuel side of it, I got to go get something to wet my whistle while I explain all this. Oh, that sled is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I think the buyer is going to be very happy with this sled. Johnny, right? That showed up yesterday. His name was Johnny? Or Jimmy? Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy showed up yesterday. He was very happy with the sled he picked up from us yesterday. Oh, that tastes good. So you have the mechanical fuel pump. It's basically running the sled like it normally would, not under boost. It's running from the fuel tank or fuel shutoff. I have this one marked as the fuel shutoff. It's going through the filter, goes to a Y, it continues on over to the feed on the mechanical fuel pump. It dumps out over into the end of this fuel block, and all three of these go to your fuel inlets on your carburetors. Pretty much the same as it normally would be in your stock setup. Now, where it gets different. When you're under boost, there is this tube that goes to the center carb. Got it marked, center carb. So when it reads boost going through that carb, it's going to kick this switch on, pressure switch, clicks the switch, goes to the relay, turns the electric fuel pump on. Now it's pulling fuel from here, an electric fuel pump, through a pressure regulator. Then you have a return line that's going back into the top of the fuel tank to return any excess fuel because it's regulated down, and it's adding fuel into this fuel block, and now it's adding extra fuel pressure into your fuel bowls. So into your carbs. And then there's a whole bunch of other things that go on the carburetors to add the power jet into the top of the carburetor. And I can look at that over here. So here, once you pressurize this fuel bowl with excess fuel pressure, you're going to run it up this fuel line to the power jet, and this is an adjustable power jet that sprays atomized fuel into the mouth of the carb, and then you read your piston wash and your plugs, or EGTs or air fuel gauge, to adjust your boost pressure fuel flow. When it's running under stock, you're running your stock main jets under stock with the mechanical pump. The electric fuel pump, like I said, is pressurizing the bowls then and pushing the fuel up to that power jet, and then you're adjusting for under boost then. Seems simple enough. Boy, it took me a long time to wrap this head around all that. I hope I explained that correctly. So there's some things about this system that I've contacted a couple guys that ran these in the 90s, and they have some concerns on some of the way it's plumbed, and I'll get into that in another video because I'm going to change a couple things under their suggestions. And they had a lot to do with helping set these things up, and they're saying don't do this, but do this and change this because of this. So that's what we're going to do. We're fine-tuning this to make it run better. And one of them I contacted was a world record holder on speed runs in the 90s. And he was running a turbo on these. And then the following year, they outlawed you running a turbo on a 650 because he was running so fast. They said, nope, it ain't happening. Yeah, I think he said like 20 pounds of boost he was putting into a 650. But he had a couple extra things going on with the engine. But he's telling me I can run 8 pounds. He said if you try to go over 10, really should run a head plate down here then to help hold the heads and cylinders down. He really highly recommends 112 or 110. He said don't chintz on fuel. Yeah, you could run it on pump gas or 100 low lead, but he said really just go 110. It's for tuning purposes. It's a lot safer. It's a lot less chances of sending a piston through the turbo. So I'll probably just run 110 in this. It sucks. It's expensive. I've ran it in other sleds, but for what we're doing here, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and run the 110. So that's what we got going on. Now that I got everything mocked up, I really can full steam ahead on plumbing, getting everything connected together. Really getting excited at this point. There was a big changing point here about an hour ago when Trent and I slid that belly pan on and I mocked the turbo in there and I'm like, oh my God, this is like easy peasy. This is like freaking fit right in there like a hand in a glove. It was very, very, very good to see it sitting in there and then how well it's going to fit. And then I had room to be able to do a muffler on the bottom and stuff. So plug away on it this week. Like I said, give me a comment. Decals or no decals. Your opinion does matter. And I love reading all the comments on the opinions and stuff. And if, like I said, if anybody has good, solid knowledge on this thing here, is it 9 or 8 pounds of boost in this corner down here, as well as 8 pounds of boost over here? Or is it 8 pounds in the center and 5 on the sides because it's being fed in the center? I'm always looking for advice, looking for knowledge too. If somebody knows, please share. So, all right, guys, that's all we got for now. Trent will get 3 fingers back together. I was hoping he was going to have the pipes on so we could have fired up for this video, but we'll fire it up in a different video. And this beautiful little lady is going to be heading out of our fleet to a new home. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Appreciate all the comments and the views.